So let me talk about altruism now. So what I think is that human children are naturally altruistic. So we're siding with Rousseau on this debate. They're naturally altruistic, and they only become a little more cautious and selective and strategic later in ontogeny. And Felix Warneken and I wrote a TICS paper where we laid out kind of what we thought were 3 varieties of altruism. Now, altruism is providing someone else with something that's good for them. There's debate about whether it has to cost me a lot or not, but it has to cost me at least a little, maybe just a little bit of energy to help this other person. But in any case, I'm helping someone else, and we laid out the varieties of altruism as in terms of the benefit to the other person. And we just took a general economic analogy, goods, services, and information. This is the nature of the good, the nature of the thing that I'm helping, that I'm providing for you. And when I provide people with goods, then I'm sort of sharing with them. If I'm a generous person. If I'm doing services for them, I'm helping them. I'm helping them pick up a dropped object or whatever, and I'm a helpful person. And if I provide them with information that they need, then I'm informing them and I'm being informative. And we have evidence of children in all 3 of these domains that I will share with you today, that they, from a very young age, are altruistic in all these ways. And in particular, with the middle one here, helping, I'm going to start with helping, and that's the one where we have the most data. And I'm going to try to argue that it is not going to be coming from the cultural environment with people teaching children to be helpful at a young age. Of course, people teach children to be helpful, and of course, it matters later in ontogeny. But 14-month-olds, 18-month-olds, I'm going to argue to you that their altruism, their helping behavior is not coming from the culture, but it's coming naturally. Okay, I'm going to show you a bunch of videos. You all have, somebody told me yesterday, I enjoyed your talk because it's like going to the movies. Anyway, I'm going to show you several in a row because one of the things that's impressive about the helping behavior that we see in young children, and these children are all going to be either 14 or 18 months of age. Those of you who are not developmentalists, 14 to 18 months of age typically means barely walking, saying a few words maximum, just really getting going in this cultural way of life. So I'll show you about, I think it's about 4 of them in a row, so you can just see the variety of ways that they help. This is Felix Warneken, whose work this mainly is. He drops a pen, clothespin. As you can see, this is somewhat effortful. And a nice look to the face, and he hands it over. Okay, now we're ready to go. Okay, importantly, there had been many of observations of this before. So, you know, how did we get a science paper out of it if people had seen this before? Well, part of it is that we ran some very stringent control conditions. So, for example, he stood there doing the same thing and then threw it down on purpose. And in that case, the kids hardly ever picked it up. So it really was about them diagnosing the problem and being motivated to help, and not just that they liked picking up these clothespins. So in every one of these things you see, we have a control condition that tries to control for them just being attracted to do this activity generally. And so a lot of the naturalistic observations of children helping, maybe they were just having fun. So for example, Harriet Reingold had some observations from the 70s of children helping you clean up the toys. Okay, mom's cleaning up the toys, kids help clean up the toys. But maybe they just think that's fun to take toys and throw them in the basket. Maybe they're not being helpful. Maybe their motive isn't being helpful. They just like throwing toys in the basket. So we did stringent control conditions, and we had a chimpanzee comparison. That always helps. Okay, here's another one. I don't remember exactly which one this is, but... okay, so we wanted this one, instead of reaching with a hand, we wanted it to be a little bit different. He's picking up these paper balls with tongs, and he can't quite reach them. We wanted it to not be an exact hand, and gives him that. And now he anticipates, of course, getting ready for the next one, and ready for the next one, and of course smiling while doing it. That's something that Jonathan likes to emphasize, is that we enjoy this. I enjoy doing something nice for someone else, especially if it's low cost and it's easy to do. Well, yes, I enjoy it. Okay, this is the famous. Okay.
Oh. Oh.
Now watch for the look to the face. This is important. He's not just opening the cabinet because they think it's stuck or something. It's for Felix. See? Okay? It's for you. That's why I did it. Okay? So to help like this, you have to, number one, diagnose the problem. What does he want? What's his goal? It's not totally trivial to know that he wants the cabinet open. So there's some cognition in there. And then you have to be motivated to help. Okay. So this is, we tried. Felix is the cleverest task-creating person I've ever had in my lab. And we have 10 different tasks here. And you can just see, these are the control conditions. By the way, the control condition for that one was he came with these things and he tried to put them on the top of the thing. So he's struggling, but he's struggling to put them on the top. And the kids never come over and open the cabinet or whatever. Okay, so paper balls you saw. This you didn't see. This is the clothespin you saw. This is a different one that didn't work. There's one that didn't work. That worked. That didn't work. So what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them worked. The other ones not, and presumably they didn't work because the kid didn't really understand what the problem was. That's usually what it was. They didn't really understand what the problem was. But in any case, 6 of the 10 of them worked individually, and as a whole, it was a quite strong finding. Now, children will go to some effort to do this. You saw the one kid do it, but let me just show you. This is just one of my fun videos to throw in the middle for comic relief. To show you that they will go. We wanted to see, will they go to a little effort? Because a lot of people said these are so trivial in the sense of from an energetic point of view, the kid's not having to sacrifice anything or even go to a lot of effort. So we wanted to put effort into it. So the kid has another fun activity that he really likes doing, and he has to give it up. He has to sacrifice his fun game. You see, he thinks about it for a minute, and he has to go to some effort to do it. And just to show you that he still likes the activity, he hasn't forgotten about it. Okay. All right. So he's interrupting something he really enjoys doing and going to some effort to help, and really is proud of himself and enjoys it. Okay. Now here is a follow-up that we did that relies on what social psychologists know very well as the overjustification effect. It's very controversial in terms of its interpretation, but the sort of standard interpretation, or the one that I would like to employ, is the following. Mark Lepper, in his original study with children, had children drawing. They were drawing pictures, and they enjoyed the drawing, and so they did drawing at a certain rate. And then he took half of them, and he gave them a material reward, some kind of a treat or some kind of a material reward for doing it. Every time they drew, he would give them a reward. And guess what? Their drawing went up. They drew more often because they were getting a reward. But then the trick was, he took away the reward, and guess what? Not only did they go down to where they were before, they went down below where they were before. And some people talk about it as the externalization of motivation, undermining intrinsic rewards, but that you're rewarding something that was already intrinsically rewarding. You've taken it away and put the intrinsic reward on this external. You take away the external, it goes away. And it's thought to be somewhat diagnostic of something that has an intrinsic motivation, that if it goes through this kind of effect. So what we did was, a lot of people think, well, children are helpful. These young children that you just saw are 14 to 18 months. They could conceivably have been encouraged to help by their parents. So what we did was we rewarded them. So we had the same thing. We had kids helping in natural rate. Then we randomly assigned them to 2 groups. And half of them, we gave them this little toy reward that was a fun toy they liked to play with every time they helped. And the other group, we gave them nothing. And we didn't even smile or say thank you. They would help pick up the thing, and we just take it and go back to our activity. So they got 0 social reward and 0 material reward. And the other group got this toy reward. And in the end, and the key point in the end, they were all tested with no reward. And in this neutral condition, in the neutral condition where they got no reward, they ended up in this last phase helping more, like almost, not quite double, but 40% more than they did if they were rewarded in the initial session.